In today's video, I want to talk about one of the most loaded topics when it comes to dating, which is ghosting. Why do men do it?
Hi, I'm Irom, and I'm one of the top love, dating, and manifestation coaches for smart, successful women like you. I share content on understanding men in the masculine, dating as a high-value woman, and manifesting love, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss anything.
As a love coach, one of the things that I get the absolute most complaints about is ghosting. Ghosting is a practice that absolutely drives women crazy. And for anyone who doesn't know what this term means, it just means a guy doesn't call. He disappears like a ghost, right? Like you're going out, you're getting to know each other, and then he doesn't text, he doesn't call. Maybe he even stands you up for a date. Before I get into this, I just want to make the caveat that I am really specifically talking about someone who ghosts after a handful of dates, okay? I am not talking about someone that you're married to or in a committed relationship with that disappears. That's just crazy. So that's not what we're covering here. What we're really talking about is someone who ghosts after a handful of dates. So I want to explain why, and I also want to point out some of the things that potentially could be happening on your end that might lead to this happening over and over again. And I feel like this is a very important topic because a lot of women have a lot of stories and assumptions around ghosting. And they say, if a guy ghosts, it's just because he's immature. Only a total immature jerk would ever do that. And I get this feedback really consistently, all of these stories. And so I want to just look at this a little bit more closely. One of the premises that we sort of have to keep in mind when we're talking about this is that there's a difference between men and women in the way that men and women operate. And one of the things about men that is very interesting that I think women have a hard time really grasping and fully understanding is that men are judicious with their energetic resources, which means that they don't want to give out their energetic resources more than they have to. And their resources can be things like their time, their attention, their energy, their money. Those are the resources they have available. And because they want to be judicious with them, they don't want them just being spread out willy-nilly. So this is sort of the first reason. If a man has decided at any point while getting to know a particular woman that he no longer wants to invest in her, that he's not interested in moving the relationship forward, he just stops, right? He's just decided like, this isn't going to be a thing. I'm not going to move forward anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and take back my energetic resources. I'm not going to invest any further in this. And for women, it seems very cold and heartless and immature. And oh my God, he doesn't know how to communicate. And there's all these stories, right? But it's really just that he's decided this is not going forward. So why would I spend any more time or energy on this? Now, you can keep your stories if you want. Because I know you have them. I know you're thinking things like, but he really is a jerk and he really is wrong and he's so immature and why can't he just tell me that? And you can want him to be different, but whenever you're doing that, you're arguing with reality, right? Like if someone has ghosted you and you're making him wrong, that's fine. You can make him wrong, but you're arguing with reality. You cannot force another person to do anything. You cannot force him. You cannot make him call you. You cannot make him text you. And so if it serves you to be pissed off, then be pissed off all day long. But most of the time, being pissed off does not serve us, right? Like think about how much of your own energy and power you could take back if you released some of the stories. If instead of making it mean something about him or making it mean something about you, you just took it for what it is, which is that is not your person. Right? If you could just say, that's not my person, onward and upward, you would take all your power back and you get to keep it moving. Right? And think about how much better that feels rather than just being angry and frustrated. Here's another thing to really keep in mind. When you want to manifest anything, the more of your own personal energy and personal power that you have, the faster you're going to be able to get what you want. Right? When you have all of your energy, you can use it towards whatever you desire. When you're angry with another person, when you're making another person wrong, you are making yourself the victim in that particular situation. And being a victim is very appealing. in a lot of ways. We kind of enjoy being the victim because when we get to be the victim in any situation, we can sort of say, look what this person has done to me. Can you believe the nerve? And that is very sort of praised by society. It's something that we get a lot of positive feedback and positive reinforcement for, right? If you go out to brunch with your girlfriends and you're like, that guy that I was dating, yeah, we went on 3 dates, they were amazing, and he ghosted me. Can you believe it? And all your girlfriends are like, I cannot believe it. What a jerk. You're so amazing. I can't believe he did that to you. And you're like, yeah, it's so unfair, right? And you get to go deeper and deeper into this story. And it gives you this sense of like power, right? And you're like, yes, I am right and he is wrong. I am the victim and he is the person who has victimized me, right? Like here he is, he's the bad guy. How could he do this to like sweet little me? And it gives us this sense of power, right? It gives us a sense of control. So here's how this situation started. You were starting to like someone. Now this person has stopped responding to you, has stopped initiating with you, and you're in this place where you feel powerless. You do not have any control over this situation because you don't know where he is. You can't control him. He's just gone. So now you're in this place of feeling completely powerless and it doesn't feel very good, right? So rather than staying in the place of powerlessness, you decide in your own mind, he is wrong. He is a bad guy. He is immature. He is selfish. He is a jerk. Right? You make all of these stories. And so now you've gone from this place of powerlessness where it's like, why does this happen to me? To being like, he did it. He's wrong. And for a moment, it makes you feel powerful again, right? You're no longer sitting in that place of powerlessness. But the problem is that it's not genuine power. It's this very superficial power because you're making him wrong. Right? Like you're changing the dynamic a little bit, but it doesn't really last because the truth is that when you are focusing on staying in this story where someone has done you wrong and you're the victim of this circumstance, you don't have any power. We only have power when we're like, I'm going to take responsibility for my part. I'm going to take responsibility for the things that I can control. So I've been in this situation. It hurt me. It didn't feel good. I cannot control this person, but what I can control is the stories that I'm going to tell myself now. So I can make a choice. I can tell myself that he is wrong, he is a jerk, he did this to me. I'm never going to have love. This always happens to me. This is so unfair. Why are guys like this? I'm so frustrated. Or I can tell stories like, wow, I'm so glad that he ghosted me after 3 dates. Clearly that was not my person. I don't have to waste any more time. I get to keep it moving. And if you really liked him, then you get to focus on the things you liked about him. It is so fun that I went out with a guy who just planned such great dates and is so sexy and he smelled really good. Clearly, he's not the only one on this whole planet. I'm so happy to be reminded that guys like this really exist. I can't wait to find someone who has those qualities but also wants to show up for me, who also really likes me, who also is really invested and interested and attuned to me, right? Like, how freaking great will that be? It's the difference in stories. It's about controlling the aspects that you actually can control, and it's about taking your power back. Now, instead of giving all of your power to this other person who hurt you and is, woe is me, I can't believe this happened, and just being so devastated, you get your own power, you get your own energy, and you can put that focus wherever you want. Whenever men are making decisions, they're sort of doing like a little bit of like an equation. Like, is this worth it or is it not worth it, right? Like, is it worth it for me to do this? Is it worth it for me to spend time or is it not worth it? So the problem is that if a man who has decided he doesn't want to move a relationship forward, he's going to sort of run this worth it equation through his own mind. And it's very hard for telling a woman you don't want to see her anymore to be worth it, right? Like men being judicious with their energetic resources, like it's usually not worth it. Now, the reason that some men will do that is because for them, they're looking at it the way that a lot of women do, and they feel like it's the right thing. It's the right thing for me to tell a woman that I don't want to see her anymore. And because to him, and his own definition of what is right and wrong, what he should do, he will do it. And he'll call up a woman who he doesn't want to go out with anymore, or he'll text her and say, hey, I don't want to move things forward. But it's only because it fits within his own definition of what he should or shouldn't do. For most men, it doesn't fit into their definition of what's really required, because for most men, they don't have the same desire to hear from someone that doesn't want to go out with them. And here's the thing that's really interesting. When you're ghosted, you're really only ghosted by people that you like. Because if you go out with someone and you don't like him and you're like, ugh, I hope I never see that dweeb again, and he texted you to tell you he wasn't going to ask you out, you'd be like, why are you telling me this? Like, I literally could not care any less. I have zero desire or interest in seeing you again. So like the fact that you're even texting, like, what a joke. What is wrong with you? Right? Like, it's weird. It's really weird to hear from someone that you don't like that they don't want to go out with you. You're like, okay, bye, whatever. I don't know why you're telling me this. You aren't ever going to say, I was ghosted by this guy I really didn't like. You would just be like, I didn't like him. He didn't like me. Things ended. Everything is good. Right? Like, you're only really ghosted by someone that you like. But you have to understand that that's because of the charge, because of all the stories that you're telling around it. So back to it being worth it. This sort of moves into my next reason that guys often ghost. And that is because they're sort of doing this worth it equation. Is it worth it or is it not? And the other thing is that they don't know how you're going to respond. So I know you're sitting here being like, I am a reasonable woman. Okay, he can just tell me. I don't want to play games. I'm going to take it fine. If he tells me he doesn't want to see me anymore, I have no problem with that. But like, he doesn't know that. He has seen women get really upset and really emotional, and they're like, but why? I thought we had so much fun. Or maybe they, God forbid, started crying. And now he has to deal with this woman that he didn't even want to give any more to. He's already decided he doesn't want to see her, and she's crying. And he's like, oh my God, why is this woman crying? Why? Right? So it's like, that really makes it not worth it. Because now he has to confront this person and deal with whatever it is that she experiences as he's telling her that he no longer wants to see her. And there can be a lot with it. And so you may be a completely reasonable woman and you may take it completely in stride, but also you may not. You may have further questions, and it potentially could take a lot of energy on his end to have this conversation. And men are judicious with their energetic resources. And so he may not feel that energetic generosity towards a woman that he has already decided he does not want to move forward with. The third very common reason that a man might ghost is that he didn't really mean to. So sometimes you're dating someone and things are going fine and you're getting to know each other. And he just does what men normally do, which is he's trying to decide, is this something I want to move forward? Is this something that really should be more? And he's sort of thinking about it, right? And he's going back and forth in his mind, and he's just like, is this something I want to pursue? And then too much time goes by. Like, he's just thinking about it. He's trying to make the decision, and too much time went by, right? Instead of it taking him 3, 4, 5 days, it takes him 3 weeks before he's like, no, I don't want to move forward with this. And then he's just like, it would be weird now, right? Like, we went out weeks ago, and I'm going to now tell her that I'm sorry, I'm not interested in moving forward, right? And this is the same reason that sometimes guys ghost and then reappear. They weren't per se trying to ghost you. They were thinking it over. They were trying to decide what their next step was going to be, and then too much time passed and it got weird, but they actually were interested and did want to move things forward. So this happens sometimes, and it's, it's annoying either way, but it's not so crazy, right? Like, sometimes a decision takes longer than you expect. The other thing is that sometimes things just come up that are more pressing in his life, and it really has absolutely nothing to do with you. And it's not meant to be a personal affront. It's not meant to hurt you. It's not meant as like a harsh rejection where it's like, I hope this woman really suffers, right? It's like he went out, he had an okay time, and he's overwhelmed with work, or he's dealing with his kids, or he's dealing with an ex, or he's dealing with his parents. And it just wasn't a top priority. He didn't feel a strong connection with you, so it wasn't top of mind. He wasn't really thinking about it, and other things in his life took precedent. You have to understand that it's like all people, we're sort of selfish, right? We're self-centered, and so we're making ourselves and the things that are going on in our minds and our lives like the center of the universe, and we can easily forget that not everyone is doing that. A big mistake that a lot of women make is they overestimate the bond. They feel like whatever I'm feeling, he's got to be feeling the same. Oh, we had this great date. We spoke for hours. Oh, I really feel like this could be something special. I really like him. I haven't met someone like this in a long time. You're feeling like a level 10, right? Like you are into it. And he's like, yeah, she was great. I had a really nice time. And he's at like a 6.7. But you're thinking he was also at a 10, right? Like this is what we do. We assume that the other person felt exactly what we did. Like that chemistry and the butterflies and the excitement, you think he's feeling that. Maybe he was feeling it, but maybe he wasn't. So you want to be really careful of overestimating the bond, especially in the beginning of the relationship. So I know that this is a frustrating thing that happens, but unfortunately, it's not likely to be something that goes away. And honestly, I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying that you have to justify it. I'm not saying that if someone ghosts you and then comes back, you should accept them. Usually, you probably shouldn't, honestly. What I'm saying is that there are reasons that it can happen, and that when you can understand these reasons and you can think about them and appreciate them, it might make your experience of dating better, and it might bring more of your own power back so that you can focus your energy the way that you really want. So those are my thoughts on that. I really hope that this was helpful for you. Before I end, I just want to let you know about a free masterclass training that I have. It's called the 4-Step Magnetism Formula, and you can sign up at magnetismformula.com. In this training, I go through my whole 4-step process for manifesting love. It is really good, and I definitely don't want you to miss out. So if that is something you would like to learn more about, definitely sign up for the workshop, go through the training. It's so good. So that's all that I have for you today. I will see you in the next video.